The champagne glass was halfway to my lips when my mother-in-law said it. Honestly, Naomi, we all wish you were never born. The words hung in the air like poison. I set the glass down carefully, slowly. My hand didn't shake. Not anymore. Around the table at Lumiere, the most exclusive restaurant in Atlanta, my husband's family laughed. Actually laughed, like it was the funniest joke they'd ever heard. My own mother looked down at her plate, said nothing, did nothing, just like always. But here's what they didn't know, what none of them knew. I owned this place. Every chandelier, every white tablecloth, every bottle in the wine cellar. This five-star restaurant where they were currently humiliating me, it was mine. And I was about to make sure they never forgot it. Before I tell you what happened next, I need to know, where are you watching this from right now? Drop your city, your state in the comments below, because what I'm about to tell you happened in Atlanta, Georgia. But this kind of family, this kind of betrayal, it happens everywhere. Maybe it's happened to you. Maybe you're living it right now. And while you're commenting, tell me, have you ever been in a room full of people who were supposed to love you, but instead made you feel invisible? Because that's exactly where this story begins. Let me back up. My name is Naomi Foster. Well, Naomi Grant now. I married into the Grant family 2 years ago, and I've regretted it every single day since. The Grants are what people in Atlanta call old money. They've had wealth for generations, country clubs, private schools, summer homes in Martha's Vineyard. And me? I grew up in Decatur in a 2-bedroom apartment with my mom. She worked 3 jobs. We ate ramen more nights than I can count. But I was smart, really smart. Full scholarship to Georgia State, then Georgia Tech for my MBA. I worked 2 jobs while getting my master's degree. I slept 4 hours a night for 3 years. And I graduated top of my class. That night, the night everything changed, was supposed to be my celebration, my graduation dinner. I'd finally completed my MBA program. But nothing with the Grants is ever really about me. I met Trevor, my husband, during my first year of grad school. He seemed different from his family, kind, down to earth. He said he loved that I was self-made. I should have known better. We'd been married for 6 months when I started seeing the real Trevor, the one who forgot his wallet when we went out, the one who needed just a small loan that turned into $5,000, the one who still lived off his parents at 29. But I loved him, or I thought I did. So when he suggested celebrating my graduation at Lumiere, I thought it was sweet, romantic even. It's a family tradition, he'd said. All major celebrations happen there. What he didn't mention was that it would be a family dinner with his parents, his grandmother, his 2 sisters and their husbands, and my mother, who Trevor insisted we invite. It'll be good for her, he'd said. She never gets to experience places like this. I should have seen it coming. The moment we walked through those doors, I felt it, the weight of their judgment, the way his mother, Lorraine, looked me up and down in my graduation dress, the nicest thing I owned, bought on sale at Macy's. "Oh," she said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "How modest." Trevor's sisters, Brianna and Courtney, exchanged looks, little smirks. His father, Richard, barely acknowledged me, just grunted and ordered scotch. And his grandmother, Helen, the family matriarch, she sat at the head of the table like a queen, her diamonds catching the light every time she moved. She hadn't spoken to me yet. She didn't need to. Her expression said everything. We'd been seated for maybe 20 minutes, long enough for them to order the most expensive items on the menu, long enough for the first bottle of wine to arrive. That's when Lorraine started. "So, Naomi, an MBA, how ambitious. What exactly do you plan to do with that?" I'm starting a new position at Carter and Associates, senior financial analyst. Oh, Brianna laughed. You mean that little consulting firm downtown? It's actually one of the largest. How much will you be making? Richard cut in. The table went quiet. Dad, Trevor said weakly, that's not. It's a reasonable question, Richard leaned back. She's family now. We should know what kind of resources she's bringing to the table. My mother shifted uncomfortably beside me. 95,000 to start, I said clearly, plus bonuses. Helen snorted. Actually snorted. Trevor makes that in 3 months just from his trust fund, and he doesn't have to work for it. That's not the point, grandmother. I want to work. I want to build something for myself. How noble. Lorraine's smile was sharp. Trevor, darling, did you tell her about the Newport house yet? Trevor's face went red. Mom, we're giving it to Trevor and you as a wedding gift. Finally. She looked at me. Although I'm sure it's more house than you're accustomed to. That's when I felt it. That old familiar feeling. Being small, being less than, being made to feel like I didn't belong. But this time, something was different. This time, I had a secret. That's very generous, I said calmly. Lorraine smiled, triumphant. She had no idea what was coming. The appetizers arrived. Oysters Rockefeller, beef tartare, truffle arancini. Lorraine had ordered one of everything, plus 2 bottles of the Chateau Margaux, $700 per bottle. Go ahead, Naomi. She gestured at the spread. Try the oysters. I'm sure you've never had them prepared like this. My mother touched my hand under the table, a warning. Keep quiet. Don't make waves. The way she'd taught me my whole life. I picked up an oyster, tasted it, set down the shell. They're good, I said. A little heavy on the bechamel, but good. Brianna laughed. Listen to her, like she knows anything about fine dining. I know enough, I said quietly. Do you, though? Courtney leaned forward. Because, and I don't mean this rudely, but you grew up eating what? Food stamps? Government cheese? Courtney? My mother's voice cracked. It's okay, Mom. I kept my voice steady. Yes, we received assistance when I was young. My mother worked multiple jobs to support us. There's no shame in that. Of course not. Lorraine's tone said otherwise. We all admire your mother's work ethic. It's just such a different world from ours. Trevor was silent, studying his phone. My husband, my partner, the man who promised to stand by me. He said nothing. Actually, Helen spoke up, her voice cutting through the chatter. Naomi, I've been meaning to ask, this new job of yours, Carter and Associates, are you aware that they're Trevor's father's biggest competitor? All eyes turned to me. Yes, I said. I'm aware. Richard's face darkened. You accepted a position at a firm that directly competes with Grant Financial? It was the best offer I received. Did you even consider how that would look? Lorraine's voice rose. How it would reflect on this family. I considered my career, my future. Your future is this family, Helen snapped, whether you like it or not. You married into the Grant name. That comes with responsibilities. I married Trevor, I corrected, not a corporation. Brianna gasped, like I'd said something scandalous. Well, Lorraine set down her glass. I can see we need to have a serious conversation about expectations. Lorraine, maybe we should. My mother tried. No, Janet, it's fine. Lorraine smiled coldly. Naomi needs to understand something. This family has standards, traditions, ways of doing things. She gestured around the restaurant, around Lumiere with its crystal chandeliers and its famous chef and its year-long waiting list for reservations. This is our world. We've earned our place here. And when you marry into a family like ours, you don't get to just do whatever you want. You represent us now. I represent myself. The table went silent. Trevor finally looked up from his phone. Babe, don't. Don't what? I turned to him. Don't stand up for myself? Don't have an opinion? You're being dramatic, he muttered. Something inside me cracked. Dramatic? I repeated. Your mother just told me I don't get to make my own career choices because of your family name, and I'm being dramatic? See? Courtney pointed. This is exactly what we were worried about. She doesn't understand how to conduct herself. She's upset, poor thing. This is probably overwhelming for her. They were talking about me like I wasn't there, like I was a child, a problem to be managed. My mother squeezed my hand harder, begging me silently, don't make a scene, don't ruin this. But I was so tired, tired of shrinking, tired of apologizing for existing. You know what? Lorraine dabbed her lips with her napkin. I'm just going to say it. What everyone's been thinking. Here it comes, I thought. You're not right for this family, Naomi. You don't come from our world. You don't understand our values. And honestly, watching you try so hard to fit in is just sad. Mom? Trevor's protest was weak. No, Trevor. Someone needs to be honest. She turned back to me. You're a nice girl. You worked hard. That's admirable. But you're not one of us. You never will be. My mother's eyes filled with tears. And that did it. Not Lorraine's cruelty, not the family's condescension, but seeing my mother, who'd sacrificed everything for me, sitting there with tears in her eyes, trying to keep me quiet. Actually, I said, my voice perfectly calm, I have something to say. Oh, please, Brianna rolled her eyes. Another speech about hard work and dignity? No, I continued, reaching for my champagne. A toast. To family, to traditions, and to knowing exactly where you belong. They all stared at me. Lorraine's lips curled into a smile. She thought she'd won, thought she'd broken me. I raised my glass. And to Lumiere, I said, this beautiful restaurant where the Grant family loves to celebrate their special occasions. Hear, hear, Richard muttered sarcastically. I smiled. And then I said the words that changed everything. Thank you all for choosing my restaurant for tonight's dinner. The table went silent. What? Lorraine's smile faltered. My restaurant? I repeated. Lumiere. I own it. Nobody moved. They just stared at me, like I'd started speaking another language. That's not funny, Brianna finally said. I'm not joking. I set down my glass. I own Lumiere, have for 18 months. Trevor's face went pale. What are you talking about? You heard me. That's impossible, Richard said flatly. This restaurant is owned by the Beaumont Group, has been for years. Was owned by the Beaumont Group, I corrected, until they needed capital for their expansion into New York. I bought them out in August of last year. Lorraine laughed, sharp and brittle. With what money? Your student loans? This was it, the moment I'd been preparing for. Not like this, not at my graduation dinner, but life doesn't always give you the timing you want. Sometimes it gives you the timing you need. With the inheritance from my grandmother, I said. She died 3 years ago, left me $4 million. My mother gasped. You didn't tell me, she whispered. I couldn't tell anyone, Mom. The inheritance came with conditions. I couldn't touch it until I graduated, couldn't tell anyone about it, had to prove I could make something of myself without relying on money. I looked around the table at their shocked faces. My grandmother was Frances Morrison. She built a medical supply company from nothing, sold it for $40 million. She grew up poor, like Mom and me, made her own fortune. Frances Morrison? Helen's voice was faint. The Frances Morrison? Yes, I turned to her. You probably knew her. She served on the same charity boards you did, the ones you never invited me to join. Helen's face turned red. When she died, she left specific instructions. I couldn't access the money until I finished my education, until I turned 25, until I could prove I was investing in something meaningful. I gestured around the restaurant. This was meaningful. Lumiere was struggling. The Beaumont Group needed cash fast. I negotiated a deal, 50% down, the rest in installments. I took over operations, hired a new management team, kept the head chef. He's brilliant, by the way. You're lying, Courtney said, but her voice shook. Am I? I pulled out my phone, opened my email, showed her the screen. Here's last month's P&L statement. Revenue up 35% year over year. We're booked solid for the next 8 months. She stared at the phone, went white. Oh my God, she whispered. She's telling the truth. No, Lorraine shook her head. No, Trevor would have known. You would have told your husband. I looked at Trevor, my husband, who was staring at me like I was a stranger. I tried to tell you, I said quietly, 3 times. Do you remember? He didn't answer. The first time was 6 months ago. I said I needed to talk to you about something important. You said you were too busy with your golf league. His face went red. The second time was at Christmas. I tried again. You told me the family was stressed enough with the holiday and I shouldn't add to it. Naomi, the third time was last month. I made reservations at that Italian place you like, have the whole thing planned, how I tell you, show you the papers, everything. My voice cracked. So I stopped trying, figured I'd wait until graduation, make it part of the celebration. I laughed. It sounded broken. But this isn't a celebration, is it? It's an intervention, an ambush. You all planned this, didn't you? My mother reached for me. Sweetheart, did you know, Mom? Did you know what tonight was really about? Trevor called me, Mom, said the family wanted to have a serious talk with you about your future, your choices. He said it would be better if I was here. I looked at Trevor. You used my mother to set me up so your family could humiliate me. We weren't trying to humiliate you, he said weakly. We were trying to help you understand. Understand what? My place? I laughed. Well, congratulations. I understand perfectly now. I turned to the family. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to finish this meal, all of it. Every expensive appetizer, every bottle of wine, the entrees that haven't arrived yet, dessert, after dinner drinks, everything. We're leaving, Richard started to stand. Sit down, I said. Something in my voice made him pause. So you wanted to show me how things work in your world, how your money and your name give you power. So let me show you how things work in mine. I caught the eye of Gerard, the restaurant manager, my restaurant manager. He approached the table immediately. Yes, Miss Morrison, he said. The family's eyes widened at the name, at the respect in his voice. Gerard, please ensure the Grant family receives exceptional service tonight. And when you bring the check, I smiled, include the sommelier's premium selection fee, the private dining room charge, and the late-night kitchen fee. Of course, ma'am. Wait, Lorraine's voice was sharp. What does that mean? I leaned down, got close enough that only she could hear me. It means your bill just tripled. You can't do this, Lorraine hissed. Actually, I can, I straightened. It's my restaurant, my rules. Trevor, she turned to her son, are you going to let her do this to your family? Trevor looked between us, between his mother and his wife, between the life he knew and the woman he married. Maybe we should just pay and go, he said quietly. No, Helen's voice cracked like a whip. Absolutely not. I will not be. Somewhat, I challenged. Finish that sentence, Helen, please. She pressed her lips together. You know what's funny? I said to the table. For the past 2 years, I've been trying to be good enough for you, trying to fit into your world, wearing the right clothes, using the right forks, staying quiet when you made your little jokes. We never, Brianna started. You called me the scholarship girl at Thanksgiving, I interrupted. You asked if I knew which glass was for water at the spring gala. You accidentally forgot to invite me to Courtney's baby shower. Courtney looked away. And you, I turned to Trevor, you never defended me. Not once. You'd laugh along with them, or you'd tell me I was being too sensitive, that I needed to develop thicker skin. You're making this sound worse than it was, he said. Am I? I pulled out my phone again because I have texts, so many texts, from your mother, from your sisters. Want me to read them? Don't you dare, Lorraine warned. Here's one from Brianna. Make sure Trevor doesn't buy her anything expensive for Christmas. She'll just think she deserves it. Brianna's face went red. And this one from your mother? We need to have a conversation with her about appropriate behavior at the club. She spoke to the senator like they were equals. That's taken out of context, protested Lorraine. Is it? Because here's another one. I'm worried Trevor made a mistake. She's never going to be one of us. The silence was deafening. You want to know why I didn't tell you about the restaurant? I looked at Trevor. Because I knew, deep down, I knew. You didn't marry me because you loved me. You married me because I was safe, controllable. That's not true, he said. Then why did you tell your family about my job before telling me you had a problem with it? He couldn't answer. Why did you forget your wallet every time we went out so I'd have to pay? Still nothing. Why did you take that $5,000 loan from me and then use it to buy your mother a birthday present? My mother made a small sound. She hadn't known that part. You used me, I said. All of you. You wanted someone you could look down on, someone who would make you feel better about yourselves, someone grateful. That's not fair, Courtney said. We welcomed you into this family. I was tolerated, I corrected. There's a difference. The entrees arrived then. Gerard and two servers brought out the food with perfect timing. Pan-seared duck, Wagyu beef, Chilean sea bass, herb-crusted lamb. $1,500 worth of food, easily. Enjoy, Gerard said smoothly and disappeared. Nobody touched their plates. You know what's the saddest part is? I said. I actually loved Trevor, really loved him. I thought we were building something together. I looked at my husband, at the man I'd shared a bed with, made plans with, promised forever to. But you were just waiting, waiting for me to fit, to change, to become who your family wanted me to be. You're not being fair, Trevor said. I did love you. I do love you. No, I shook my head. You loved the idea of me, the self-made woman who overcame adversity. It looked good, made you seem deep, evolved. I sat back down, not in my seat, in the one at the head of the table, Helen's seat. But you never actually respected me. None of you did. Respect is earned, not demanded. You're right, I nodded, so let me show you what I've earned. I pulled out a folder from my bag, placed it on the table. What's that? Lorraine asked. Financial statements from Grant Financial. Richard's face went white. I work for your biggest competitor now, and in the last 3 months, I've reviewed your company's public filings very carefully, the ones available to any investor, any analyst. I opened the folder. Your stock is overvalued by about 30%. Your debt ratios are concerning, and you have 3 major clients who are considering leaving. I know because Carter and Associates is courting them. You can't. I'm not doing anything illegal, I said, just sharing publicly available information. But here's what's interesting. Those 3 clients, together, they represent 40% of your annual revenue. The family stared at me. If they leave, Grant Financial will need to restructure, probably lay off staff, maybe even sell assets. You're threatening us? No, I closed the folder. I'm showing you that I understand exactly how your world works. Money, power, information, leverage. I smiled. You taught me well. Trevor grabbed my arm. Stop this, right now. I looked at his hand, on my arm, gripping tight. Let go, I said quietly. Not until you stop acting crazy. Crazy? I repeated. I'm being honest for the first time in our entire marriage, and that makes me crazy? You're embarrassing yourself, Brianna said, and us. Good. I pulled my arm free from Trevor's grip. You've been embarrassing me for 2 years. Turnabout's fair play. This is extortion, Richard said. What you're doing with those client names, we could sue you. For what? Doing my job? I haven't shared any proprietary information, haven't violated any laws. I'm just a financial analyst who happens to know that Hartwell Industries, Meridian Tech, and Coastal Logistics are all meeting with my firm next month. Richard's face went purple. Those are confidential negotiations, he sputtered. Are they? Because their CEOs mentioned it in their last quarterly earnings calls. Public record. Anyone could have figured it out. I was lying, sort of. I knew because I was leading the pitch team, but the basic information was technically public. You're destroying this family, Lorraine said. Over what? Your pride? Your ego? No. I looked at her. Really looked at her. I'm just refusing to be destroyed by you anymore. My mother was crying quietly, not speaking, just watching. I wondered what she was thinking, if she was proud or ashamed or both. Mom, I said softly, I'm sorry you had to see this. Don't apologize, she whispered. Don't ever apologize for standing up for yourself. Something shifted in her voice, a strength I'd never heard before. I should have done this years ago, should have taught you that you didn't need to make yourself small, didn't need to accept crumbs. She stood up, walked to where I was sitting. Your grandmother, my mother, she tried to tell me before she died. She said, Janet, you taught Naomi to survive, but I'm going to teach her to thrive. I didn't understand then. She touched my shoulder. But I understand now. Lorraine scoffed. How touching, the poverty mentality bonding moment. And that's when my mother, quiet, apologetic, keep the peace Janet, turned on her. You know what your problem is, Lorraine? You mistake cruelty for class, money for worth. But you're just a bitter woman who peaked at her wedding and has been declining ever since. My jaw dropped. Excuse me? Lorraine sputtered. You heard me. My mother's voice was steel. You've spent years looking down on us, on me, because I worked as a housekeeper, because I didn't go to your fancy schools. But I raised an incredible daughter, a brilliant, strong, successful daughter. She gestured at me. What did you raise? 3 adults who can't function without trust funds, who married for money, not love, who measure their worth in country club memberships. Janet, Richard tried to interject. No, I'm done being quiet, done shrinking. My daughter just revealed she's a successful businesswoman, and instead of celebrating, you're trying to punish her because she didn't ask permission, didn't bow and scrape. She picked up her purse. I'm ashamed I let you treat her this way, let you make her feel less than. But that ends tonight. Where are you going? I asked. Nowhere, she smiled. I'm staying right here with you because this is your restaurant, your accomplishment, your night. She pulled out a chair next to mine.
sat down. "Now," she picked up her fork, "I'm going to eat this beautiful meal my daughter is providing, and the rest of you can either join us or leave. But either way, you're paying that bill." I stared at my mother, this woman who'd apologized her whole life for taking up space. She winked at me, and I burst out laughing. Real, genuine laughter, the kind that comes from relief and joy and disbelief all mixed together. "You know what?" I said. "You're right. This is my night, my achievement, and I'm done letting them take it from me." I signaled Gerard again. "Yes, Miss Morrison? Please bring my mother and me fresh champagne, the Cristal, and prep the dessert tasting menu for us." "Of course. Anything else?" I looked at the Grant family, at their furious, humiliated faces. "Yes, the Grant family's meal is on the house." Everyone stared at me. "What?" Lorraine said. "You heard me. No charge." "You said the triple bill," Brianna sputtered. I changed my mind. I smiled, because I realized something. You can't hurt me anymore. Your opinion doesn't matter. Your approval doesn't matter. You don't matter. I stood up. "So enjoy your free meal. Compliments of the woman you called worthless, the scholarship girl, the one who wasn't good enough for your precious family." I picked up my champagne glass. "And when you leave here tonight, when you go home to your big houses and your trust funds and your carefully cultivated images, I want you to remember something." I took a sip. I won. Not because I have money now, not because I own this restaurant, but because I finally stopped believing your lies about who I am. I set down the glass. "Gerard will bring the check." "Oh, wait, he won't, because it's free. Consider it my graduation gift to myself, the gift of never having to care what you think again." I turned to leave. Trevor stood. "Where are you going?" "Away from you."
"You can't just walk away," Trevor said. "Watch me. We're married, Naomi. We took vows." I stopped, turned around slowly. "You're absolutely right. We did take vows. Want to review them?" He didn't answer. "For better or worse," I recited, "in sickness and health, to love and to cherish." I walked back toward him. "Tell me, Trevor, when did you love me? When did you cherish me?" "I've always—" "Was it when you let your mother call me a gold digger at Easter dinner? When you laughed and said she was just joking?" His face reddened. "Was it when you forgot to mention that your family was trying to get me fired from my internship last year? Because yes, I found out about that." Trevor went pale. "Or maybe it was when you took my credit card without asking and spent $3,000 at the casino, then told me I was being controlling when I got upset." "I paid you back," he muttered. "With money your father gave you, after I'd already paid the bill." I shook my head. "You never loved me, Trevor. You loved having someone who made you feel superior, someone you could show off to your liberal friends. Look at my self-made wife. Look how evolved I am." "That's not—" "And when your family made it clear they didn't approve, you folded like a cheap suit. Every single time." Tears were running down my face now, but my voice was steady. "So no, I'm not walking away from our marriage, because we never really had one." "Don't do this," he said. "Please, we can fix this." "How? You going to stand up to your family, tell them they were wrong?" He looked at them, at their expectant faces, and I saw it, the truth in his eyes. He couldn't do it. "That's what I thought," I said softly. "Give me time," he pleaded. "Let me talk to them, make them understand." "I don't want them to understand.
I want a husband who already understands, who doesn't need his wife humiliated at dinner before he figures out there's a problem. I pulled off my wedding ring. The diamond caught the light. 2 carats, platinum band, his grandmother's ring. They'd made such a big deal about me wearing it, about being worthy of it. I placed it on the table in front of Helen. I was never going to be good enough for this ring, because the problem was never me. It was always you. You're making a mistake, Helen said coldly. The only mistake I made was trying to earn your approval. I looked at each of them. I'm done now. Done trying, done pretending, done shrinking myself to fit into your narrow little world. My mother stood beside me, linked her arm through mine. We're leaving, she announced, and if any of you ever contact my daughter again, you'll hear from her lawyer. Lawyer? Richard laughed. For what? Hurt feelings? For harassment, I said. Brianna's text alone would make a good case. And that letter your mother sent to my former employer, the one claiming I had questionable character, that's defamation. Lorraine's eyes widened. Oh, you thought I didn't know? I smiled. I have friends too, people who actually care about me. They warned me, showed me the letter. I gathered my things. You can expect divorce papers within the week, Trevor. My lawyer will be in touch about asset division. Asset division, he repeated. You don't have any assets. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. I have a restaurant worth $4 million, plus investments, plus my grandmother's remaining inheritance. In total, about $6 million. His mouth fell open. Georgia is an equitable distribution state, but given that all my assets were acquired before marriage or through inheritance, and given that I can prove financial abuse, those casino charges, the loans you never repaid, I'll likely keep everything. You planned this, Courtney breathed. This whole thing. No, I said honestly. I hoped it wouldn't come to this. Hoped Trevor would grow a spine. Hoped his family would eventually accept me. I looked at them one last time. But you taught me something valuable tonight. You taught me that some people will never see your worth. And that's okay, because I see it. Finally. I turned to leave. Naomi, Trevor called, please don't do this. I'm not doing anything, I said without looking back. You already did it, all of you. You just didn't realize it until now. My mother and I walked out into the Atlanta night. The other diners watched. Some looked sympathetic, others looked scandalized. I didn't care. For the first time in 2 years, I felt light, free. At the door, I paused, turned back one last time. Oh, and Trevor, that Newport house your parents promised us, you should take it. You're going to need it. What does that mean? It means I bought the house next door last month as an investment property. I'll be renting it out soon. I smiled sweetly. I'll be sure to screen the tenants carefully. Wouldn't want anyone noisy moving in. That would be so uncomfortable for you. And with that, my mother and I walked out into the Atlanta night. We stood on the sidewalk outside Lumiere. The night air was warm, summer in Atlanta. The city hummed around us. My mother hadn't said anything since we left, just held my hand, squeezed tight. Are you okay? She finally asked. I don't know, I admitted. Ask me tomorrow. She laughed, a real laugh, the kind I hadn't heard from her in years. Your grandmother would be so proud, she said. So proud. I wish she was here. She is, my mother touched my heart. Right here. She's been here all along. We stood in silence for a moment. I'm sorry, Mom, I said. For what? For not telling you about the inheritance, about the restaurant, about how bad things were with Trevor. She pulled me into a hug. held me tight. You don't need to apologize for anything. You were protecting yourself, protecting your dreams. That's smart. That's strong. I learned it from you, I whispered. No, she pulled back, looked at me. You learned to survive from me, but that strength, that fire, that's all you, baby. That's all you. A car pulled up, my Uber. Come on, I said. Let's go home. Your place or mine? Yours, I smiled. I want to sleep in my old room tonight. Want to wake up and remember who I was before all of this. We slid into the back seat. As we drove through the city, I stared out the window at the lights, the people, the life happening everywhere. My phone buzzed once, twice, 10 times, all from Trevor. I turned it off. What happens now? My mother asked. Now, I thought about it. Now I figure out who I am without them. You're Naomi Morrison, businesswoman, graduate, fighter. Grant, I corrected. Still legally Grant. Not for long. No, I smiled. Not for long. We pulled up to my mother's apartment building in Decatur, the same complex I grew up in. It looked smaller than I remembered, older, but it felt like home. Inside, Mom made tea. We sat at the kitchen table, the same table where I'd done homework, where we'd eaten countless meals together. Tell me about the restaurant. How did it happen? So I told her about finding Lumiere listed for sale, about the meetings with the Beaumont's group, about learning the restaurant business from the ground up. I was terrified, I admitted. Didn't know anything about running a restaurant. Still don't, honestly. But I hired good people. The head chef, Marcel, he's been there 15 years, knows everything. And you learned from him? From everyone. The managers, the servers, even the dishwashers. I worked every position, wanted to understand how it all fit together. My mother shook her head in wonder. $4 million? She said. Your grandmother really left you $4 million. I said, she left me a chance to build something, be something on my own terms. Why didn't she tell me? She tried. You remember that last conversation in the hospital? Mom nodded, her eyes filled with tears. She made me promise, I continued, made me swear I wouldn't tell you until after I graduated, until I'd proven I could do it. She was worried you'd try to talk me out of it. I would have, Mom admitted. Would have told you to save it, invest it safely, not risk it. I know. That's why she made me promise. She always was stubborn, Mom smiled through her tears, just like you. We sat in comfortable silence. What are you going to do with Trevor? She finally asked. Divorce him. Move on. You loved him. I loved who I thought he was, I sighed. But that person never really existed. I see that now. What about the restaurant? Will you keep it? Absolutely. It's mine. I built it. Well, rebuilt it. And it's successful. We're profitable, growing. I pulled out my phone, turned it back on. 73 messages, mostly from Trevor, a few from his family. One from Gerard, my manager. Everything okay after you left, G? I typed back, perfect. Thanks for handling it. See you Monday. You know what's funny? I said to my mother. I was so scared to tell them about the restaurant, thought they'd be angry, thought I needed their approval. And now? Now I realize their opinion literally doesn't matter. The restaurant succeeds or fails based on what I do, not what they think. My phone buzzed again. Trevor. Please call me. We need to talk. I love you. I stared at the message. Did I believe him? That he loved me? Maybe he did. In his way. The way you love something that makes you feel good about yourself. But that wasn't enough. Not anymore. I typed back, have your lawyer contact mine. Don't call again. Then I blocked his number. Blocked his whole family. Deleted their contacts. Done, I said. My mother raised her teacup. To new beginnings. I clinked mine against hers. To being enough, exactly as we are. We drank, and for the first time in 2 years, I felt like I could breathe. 3 weeks later, I was at Lumiere reviewing the weekend reservations when Gerard knocked on my office door. "Someone here to see you," he said. "I don't have any appointments." "I know, but you'll want to see this person." He stepped aside. Trevor stood in the doorway, my ex-husband, though the papers weren't final yet. 2 more weeks. "What are you doing here?" I asked. "Can we talk, please?" I shouldn't have said yes, should have called security, had him escorted out. But curiosity won. 5 minutes, I said. Gerard disappeared, closed the door behind him. Trevor sat down across from my desk. He looked terrible, thinner, dark circles under his eyes. "You look good," he said. "Thank you. What do you want?" He flinched at my tone. I wanted to apologize, face to face, for everything. "Okay, apology noted. Goodbye." "Naomi, please, just listen." Against my better judgment, I did. "You were right," he said, "about everything. My family, how I treated you, how I never stood up for you." I know I was right. I've been thinking a lot about us, about what went wrong. Trevor, I did love you. I do love you. I know you don't believe that, but it's true. I said nothing. "But I loved my family's approval more," he continued, "and I was too weak to admit it, too weak to choose you over them." Is this supposed to make me feel better? No, it's supposed to be honest, finally. He ran his hands through his hair. "I filed for separation from the family business," he said. I blinked. "What?" "Left Grants Financial, resigned from the board, cut ties with my trust fund." "You're lying." "I'm not." He pulled out his phone, showed me documents, official letters, resignation papers. I stared at them. "Why would you do that?" "Because you were right. I was nothing but the family name, the money. Without it, I didn't know who I was." He looked at me. "I'm trying to find out who I am, what I want, without them telling me." "That's great, Trevor, really, but it doesn't change anything between us." "I know. I'm not asking you to take me back." "Then why are you here?" "To say thank you." I wasn't expecting that. "Thank you?" I repeated. "You showed me something that night, at dinner. You showed me what strength really looks like, what it means to stand up for yourself, to know your worth." He smiled sadly. "I've been coasting my whole life, taking the easy path, letting other people make my decisions, and I ended up with nothing that mattered. No real job, no real achievements, no real relationships. Trevor, I lost the best thing that ever happened to me because I was too scared to fight for her." Tears ran down his face. "I'm not asking for another chance. I know I don't deserve one. I just wanted you to know that you changed my life, even if you're not in it anymore." I didn't know what to say. "What are you going to do now?" I finally asked. "I got a job at a startup, marketing coordinator. It's entry level, the pay is terrible, but it's mine. I earned it." Despite everything, I felt proud of him. "That's good," I said. "Really good. I'm seeing a therapist too, working through some things about my family, about money, about why I am the way I am." "I'm glad." We sat in silence. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "What?" "Why did you comp their dinner after everything they said to you?" I thought about it. Because making them pay wasn't going to change anything. They'd still think they were better than me. They'd just have a story about the vindictive ex-daughter-in-law. And? And I realized I didn't want their money, didn't want anything from them. The only way to truly win was to not care anymore. Trevor nodded slowly. "That's why you're amazing," he said. "That's why I fell for you in the first place. You're better than all of us." "I'm not better. I'm just done letting people tell me I'm not enough." "You're more than enough." He stood up. I hope someday you find someone who sees that from the start, who never makes you doubt it. He headed for the door. Trevor, I called. He turned. I hope you find yourself, really find yourself, the person you are without their money and their expectations. I think you might be surprised. Yeah? Yeah. Because the man I fell in love with, the one who brought me coffee during finals week and made me laugh when I was stressed, he was in there somewhere, under all their conditioning. His eyes filled with tears. Thank you for that, he whispered. And then he left. I sat at my desk for a long time after, thinking about love, about family, about who we become when we're trying too hard to fit. Gerard knocked again. You okay, boss? I am, I said, and I meant it. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Naomi Morrison? Speaking. This is Jessica Chen from the Atlanta Business Chronicle. I'm doing a feature on young entrepreneurs transforming the city's restaurant scene. Your name came up. Would you be interested in being interviewed? I smiled. Yes, I said. I'd love to.
6 months later, I stood in front of the mirror in my new apartment, high-rise in Buckhead, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. My city. Tonight was the Atlanta Business Awards. Lumiere was nominated for Best Restaurant Revival, and I was nominated for Entrepreneur of the Year. My mother sat on the couch behind me, watching me get ready. You look beautiful, she said. I look nervous. You look powerful. I turned around, studied my reflection one more time. Red dress, simple but elegant, hair up, minimal jewelry. I looked like myself, finally. Not trying to be what the Grants wanted, not trying to fit anywhere, just me. Ready? Mom asked. Ready. The awards ceremony was at the Hyatt, ballroom full of Atlanta's business elite, people I used to feel intimidated by. Now I just felt curious. We found our table. Gerard was there, Marcel, the head chef, a few other staff members from the restaurant. My team, my people. How you feeling, boss? Gerard asked. Ask me after they announce the winners. Marcel laughed. You're going to win. Everyone knows it. There are 5 other nominees. Yeah, but none of them turned a failing restaurant into the hottest reservation in Atlanta. None of them increased revenue by 200% in 18 months. He's right, Gerard said. You're going to win. The ceremony started. Dinner was served. Speeches were made. Awards for various categories. Finally, they got to Best Restaurant Revival. And the nominees are... My heart pounded. They listed the 5 restaurants, showed clips of each one. When Lumiere flashed on the screen, my restaurant, my accomplishment, I felt tears prick my eyes. And the winner is Lumiere. The table erupted in cheers. I stood on shaky legs, walked to the stage. The award was heavy in my hands, real, solid. I looked out at the crowd. And then I spoke. 2 years ago, I was sitting in a different ballroom, at a different dinner, and someone told me I'd never be good enough for their world. The room went quiet. They were right. I wasn't good enough for their world, because their world was built on putting people down, on using money and status to make others feel small. I held up the award. This represents a different world, a world where hard work matters, where vision matters, where you can build something beautiful from the ground up, regardless of where you came from. I saw some people nodding. Lumiere was dying when I bought it. The previous owners were going to close it down. 30 employees were going to lose their jobs. A piece of Atlanta's culinary history was going to disappear. I looked at Marcel, at Gerard. But we didn't let that happen.
We rebuilt it together, and now it's thriving. My voice grew stronger. This award isn't just mine. It belongs to every person who believed in this restaurant, who worked long hours, who poured their heart into making it succeed. I paused. And it belongs to everyone who's ever been told they're not enough, not rich enough, not educated enough, not from the right family. I looked directly at the camera. You are enough. Your dreams are valid. Your ambitions matter. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. The room burst into applause. I walked off stage, my legs shaking. Mom grabs me in a hug the moment I sat down. That was perfect, she whispered. But the night wasn't over. 2 awards later, they announced Entrepreneur of the Year. This person took a risk on a struggling business, turned it around through innovation, dedication, and a commitment to excellence. They've created jobs, revitalized the neighborhood, and set a new standard for Atlanta's restaurant industry. I held my breath. And the winner is Naomi Morrison. I couldn't move. Gerard pushed me up. Go! I walked back to that stage, took the award. This one was heavier, more meaningful. I don't have another speech prepared, I said with a laugh, but I do want to say something. I looked out at the crowd. 6 months ago, I walked out of a marriage, away from a family that didn't value me, and I was terrified, thought I'd made a huge mistake. My voice cracked. But I hadn't. I'd made the best decision of my life because I chose myself. I chose my dreams. I chose my worth. I wiped my eyes. If you're in a situation where you feel small, where you're constantly apologizing for existing, where people make you feel like you're not enough, leave. Choose yourself. I promise you, there's a whole world waiting for you on the other side. The applause was deafening. I walked off stage, my legs shaking. The rest of the night was a blur. People congratulating me, asking for photos, wanting to talk business. And then I saw him. Across the room. Trevor. Our eyes met. He was with someone, a woman I didn't recognize. He raised his glass to me, smiled, a genuine smile. Then he turned away. And I realized I didn't feel anything. No anger, no sadness, no regret. Just peace. You okay? Mom asked. I am. I really, really am. We stayed until the end of the night, celebrated with my team, took pictures, made plans for Lumiere's future. When we finally got back to my apartment, I set the 2 awards on my mantle. Beside them, I placed a photo of my grandmother. We did it, I whispered to her picture. We really did it. And somewhere, I swear I could hear her laughing. Proud. It's been a year since that graduation dinner. A year since I stood in Lumiere and finally said the words I'd been holding in for so long. A year since I chose myself. So where are we now? Let me tell you, Lumiere is thriving. We just opened for Sunday brunch. The wait list is 3 months long. Marcel won Best Chef in Atlanta at the Culinary Awards last month. We're expanding. I bought the building next door. By summer, we'll have a rooftop bar and event space. The business that was dying when I bought it, it's now worth $8 million. But that's not the best part. The best part is what I did with the profits. Remember how I told you my grandmother grew up poor? How she understood what it meant to struggle? I started a foundation in her name, the Francis Morrison Grant Fund. It provides scholarships to first-generation college students, full rides, tuition, books, housing, everything. This year, we're funding 23 students, all of them from backgrounds like mine, all of them told at some point that they weren't good enough.
we're proving them wrong. I also bought my mother a house. Nothing huge, 3 bedrooms in a nice neighborhood, with a garden where she can grow tomatoes. She cried for 3 days when I gave her the keys. You didn't have to do this, she kept saying. Yes, I did, I told her, because you gave me everything. Let me give you this. She retired from her jobs. Now she volunteers at the foundation, mentors some of the scholarship students. She's happy, finally. As for Trevor, the divorce was finalized 6 months ago. Clean, simple. I kept my assets, he kept his. He's still working at that startup, dating that woman I saw him with at the awards, Amy. She's a teacher. From what I hear, he's different now. More grounded, more real. I'm happy for him, genuinely. Sometimes people need to lose everything to find themselves. His family? I haven't heard from them, not once. But I hear things through the business grapevine. Grant Financial lost those 3 clients, had to restructure. Richard retired early. Lorraine and Helen don't go to as many social events anymore. Brianna and Courtney are fine. Their husbands have money. But the Grant name doesn't carry the weight it used to. Not in Atlanta. And honestly, I don't think about them much anymore. They're just people I used to know in another life. Me? I'm dating again. Nothing serious yet, but I'm open to it. I know what I want now, what I deserve. Partnership, respect. Someone who celebrates my success instead of feeling threatened by it. Someone who thinks I'm enough exactly as I am. If that person exists, I'll find them. And if they don't, I'm fine on my own. Because I learned something important over this past year. You don't need someone else to complete you. You just need to believe in yourself. Everything else follows. So, that's where we are now, you and me. We've been through this whole journey together, from that terrible graduation dinner to this moment right now. And I have some questions for you. First, what part of the story hit you the hardest? Was it the dinner confrontation? The moment I revealed I owned the restaurant? The divorce? Trevor's apology? Tell me in the comments. I want to know what resonated with you. Second, where are you watching from? Drop your city, your state, your country below. I want to see how far this story has traveled. Want to know where all of you are from. Third, do you know someone who needs to hear this story? Someone who's been made to feel small? Someone staying in a bad situation because they don't think they have options? Someone who keeps apologizing for existing? Share this video with them right now. Because maybe, just maybe, my story will give them the courage to choose themselves. And if you're that person, if you're the one who needs to hear this, listen carefully. You are enough, exactly as you are, right this minute. You don't need their approval. You don't need their permission. You don't need their validation. You just need to believe, really believe, that you deserve better. Because you do. I grew up poor. I married into money. And I learned that wealth has nothing to do with worth. The richest person in that restaurant wasn't the one with the biggest bank account. It was the one who finally understood her value. Hit that subscribe button if this story meant something to you. Like this video if you're proud of your own journey, wherever you are on it. Comment and tell me your story. What are you overcoming? What are you building? What are you fighting for? We're creating a community here, a space for people who refuse to be made small, who are choosing themselves, who are building lives they're proud of. Join us, because you belong here. You always did. This is Naomi Morrison, reminding you, you don't need a lottery win. You don't need perfect revenge. You don't even need a dramatic confrontation. You just need the courage to walk away from people who make you feel less, the courage to believe in yourself, the courage to choose you. Everything else? Everything else falls into place. So go out there and build your empire. I'll be here, cheering you on.